boys and girls, it's Tuesday, and in our assembly today we're going to look at water and lock gates, how the water is controlled in different canals and rivers to control the level of it for boats, etc. Quite interesting. So I thought we'd sing a song about Jonah, as he was also locked in the water in the big sea with the whale. Here we go with Jonah. He's in the belly's whale, the whale of the belly right now.
It's so dark inside this whale, and I'm lost at the bottom of the sea. I was a fool to run from you. Now I know just what you want from me. In the belly of a whale, one day has gone by. I promise to be true, and all I ask I'll do. In the belly of a whale, oh please hear my cry. Never will I hide. Your word will be my guide. From the belly of a whale, what can I do to thank you, Lord? What offer can I make? Look in my heart, and you will find my life is yours to take. In the belly of a whale, 2 days have gone by. I promise to be true, and all I ask I will do. In the belly of a whale, can you hear my cry? Never will I hide. Your word will be my guide. From the belly of a whale, now I can feel you near. I know that you are here. You have heard my plea and come to set me free. Set me free. In the belly of a whale, 3 days have gone by. I promise to be true, and all you ask I'll do. In the belly of a whale, I know you hear my cry. Never will I hide. Your word will be my guide. From the belly of the belly of, from the belly of a whale.
So that's a song about the whale inside the belly of the whale. Now we're going to watch a little video about locks, about the water locks. Okay, here we go. Boys and girls, today we are in Kilrea. And Kilrea is a lovely little town, but outside the town we have a river. It's called the River Bann. It goes all the way from Lough Neagh to Coleraine, and eventually to Portstewart into the sea. But I'm standing at a thing called a lock, because many, many years ago in transportation routes, whenever boats were used to transport goods, they would come in by sea and then they were put onto a smaller boat. And the problem is with Lough Neagh that it's much higher than the sea level. So whenever the boat was coming up the River Bann, it would come across a height, and there was a problem. So whether a boat's going up or down, it needs to have there's different levels, and this is man-made, a different level. So the boat would come up, the gate would open, the water would fill up, and then the boat would rise, travel a little bit more, another gate would open up, the water would rise, and when the water's rising, the boat's rising. And there's 3 different stages, then eventually once it passes the third one, it can continue on. And I thought, that's so interesting, because whenever I came to the first one, the ground got too high and it was impossible for the boat to penetrate. And boats were used so often in olden days. And it makes me think of the Apostle Paul. In the Bible, whenever he was transporting the gospel or travelling from village to village or island to island, there was no airplanes, there was no big lorries, there was no motorbikes or tractors or cars. The only way he could cross, well, he could swim. but they couldn't swim for miles across the sea. The only way they could travel was on a boat. A boat made to take the missionaries to different islands. And what was the purpose? What's the purpose of a boat? The purpose of a boat was to transport the goods. What was the purpose of the missionary going to an island? It was to transport the message of the gospel. And in many ways it's the same. Whenever there was a hindrance or an obstacle or a problem, they would learn to pray and ask God for help. That's the only way they could communicate. There was no telephones or no technology. They would just pray directly to God. And as the older we become, the more advanced technology becomes, and sometimes we can lose out on the basic principle of communication with God, and that's simply praying, simply talking to God. So whenever you see a boat, and maybe someday you'll come passing through Kilrea, you'll come to the locks, and it's very interesting. This is how it works. A lever is put on here, a handle, and it's turned around quite stiff. And as it's turned around, the lock opens up, and then naturally when it opens up, the water can flow out and it rises up, and the boat rises up with it. Then it's closed again to keep it watertight. And stage by stage, you can see as we go down here, it's much lower, higher here, lower here. And we're going to go a wee bit lower to see what happens. Different stages, I think there's 3 of them. And as you walk further down, you can see eventually we travel back onto the River Bann. And over here you'll see lots of these. So this is a life buoy. You'll always find these where there's water. And the reason for these here, this will float in the water, and you can get it, you can throw it into the water. And when you throw it into the water, this will float. You can hold on to it, you can grab onto it, and this will never sink. An idea, once you hold on to this, you're not going to drown, you're not going to be lost, but you must hold on to it. And there's a wee sign here that says, remain in your craft at all times. So when you're in the boat, you don't get out and swim around, you must stay inside the boat. And Jesus is like our boat, and he says, I'm your ship. Come to me and stay within me. Because some people think, if I become a Christian, then I can just do what I want. I can just run into the world and do my own thing. But that's not the way it works. When you become a Christian, he says, I'll keep you safe. I'll look after you. I'll protect you. But you got to stay with me. Stay within me. So whenever you see a life buoy, it's used to save people from drowning. And that's why the Lord Jesus came into this world. He came to seek and to save those who were lost. And we're all lost because of sin. And he came to look for us. He came to save us. And he's calling us. He is the life buoy. He says, when you come to me and hold on to me, I'll rescue you, I'll save you, I'll stay with you. And you don't need to worry about drowning, or you don't need to worry about being lost, because I'm going to keep you safe forever. God gives us a promise. He says, I will never leave you. And that's a promise. He says, no one will take you out of my hand once you have you in my hand and my clasp, and I'm going to look after you and I'm going to protect you. So here we've come to the other side of the River Bann, the main width of the River Bann. You can see how wide it is. And these are the gates I was referring to. There's gates in Tombridge, here in Kilrea, and further upstream or downstream in Coleraine. And this gate here is open because there's so much water now in Lough Neagh after extensive rain. They need to open the gate and let lots of the water out. But all of these gates can equally be shut. It controls the water levels because Lough Neagh is 50 feet higher than sea level, and also controls the fish management, so all the fish don't swim out to the sea too quickly. So this is very, very important. This was built in the 1930s. One of the gates is called Derry, and the other two is called Antrim. But they can be controlled from offices in Belfast all along the different stages of the river. If the river's too high or too low, it can be controlled. But I thought about the force of the river. And you can see in the middle it's very, very calm, and here it's very, very stormy when the force of the water is coming through. But that's like life. Sometimes life is very, very gentle and very, very calm. And other parts of life, there's storms going on in our lives. And through life, there's one thing for me that's important. Whether I'm in the storm or the calmness of life, God specialises in being with people. Whether you're going through a storm or whether life's calm, God doesn't change, but he calms us down in the storm. And he doesn't say your storm's going to go away or your storm's going to change, but he says, I'll be with you in the storm. Or maybe you're at school and you're struggling with homework or schoolwork, maybe difficulties at home. No matter what's going on, God says, I'll be with you in school, I'll be with you at home. Just like this water. Life's not always calm. Life's not always stormy. The weather's always changing. Life is always changing. What's going on now wasn't happening this time last year, and this time next year might be different than this year. But God says, I am the unchanging God. I am the Lord. I change not. I don't change. So the secret in life is accepting God into your life, believing in the Lord Jesus, ask Him to forgive you, to save you. Then He says, I'm going to be with you in the storm. No matter what you're facing in life, no matter what you're going through, just like the water, He says, I control the water. I control the temperature. I control the water. I know the fish. I know every single fish in that river. I know where the fish is, where it's going to, what it's going to do. And He said, if I know the fish and I know the wee sparrows who fall from the trees, how much more do I not know you and care about you and want you? And boys and girls, the Lord Jesus says, little children, come to me so that I can carry you through the storm, be with you in the calmness, and be with you forever and ever in your heart, and be with you, and you can come to be with me forever in heaven. It's a wonderful lesson whenever I think about the stages of the river band going from Loch Ness right down to the sea. So we've just come through the loch, and now the next stop is Port Stewart, and we'll get some ice cream. Port Stewart, Morales. Another interesting water video, how it's controlled, to make sure in parts of reservoirs to make sure we have enough water to drink. And if it all flushes down the river, then we'll have nothing. So it needs to be controlled by water management. Here's a little song that we all know. It's called Stop and Let Me Tell You.
Stop and let me tell you what the Lord has done for me. Stop and let me tell you of the Christ of Calvary. He forgives my sins and saved my soul. He cleansed my heart and He made me whole. So stop and let me tell you what the Lord has done for me. Stop and let me tell you what the Lord has done for me. Everybody and stop and let me tell you of the Christ of Calvary. He forgives my sins and He saves my soul. He cleansed my heart and He made me whole. So stop and let me tell you what the Lord has done for me.
So that's it for today. Have a good day at school. We're back tomorrow. See you.